Hey, good afternoon, New Orleans. This is attorney Russell Stegeman coming to you live from the studios of WBOK 1230 AM here in New Orleans, and bringing you consistent, constant, unending real talk for real times on this Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, as we always do. And I'm joined again with my special guest and assistant, Carmen Afar. Welcome, Carmen.
Hi, good afternoon.
And today's show is about the New Orleans Youth Empowerment Project. And so we have brought in to tell you listeners about what that really is. I mean, the Youth Empowerment Project, that could mean just about anything. It kind of sounds like a band with big brass instruments, you know, could be just about anything. But we have Melissa Sawyer and Glennis Scott from the project. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. How you doing?
Great. And welcome to our show. You know, you kind of, if no one told you now, it's probably like it's too late. You're trapped, the door's shut, you got the headsets on. But it's a call-in show, so if any of our listeners want to join us, all you have to do is call 504-260-9265, which if you have an old-fashioned phone, that's 260-WBOK. You know, I hate it when they do that because my BlackBerry doesn't have the numbers, you know, and it takes me like, I'm not good at math, and it takes me like forever to figure out what the numbers and the letters are. So anyway, yeah, we are definitely trying to bring you know, information and outreach to the community about what's really going on in the legal system. And I know the Youth Empowerment Project, you deal with minors, children, and I think you told us before the show, some adults with like literacy problems that get involved in the court system and have some kind of interface or some kind of problem, and then you guys get involved with them. Tell us about exactly what you do and what your mission is.
Okay. Again, thanks for having us. So I'm Melissa Sawyer, and I'm a co-founder as well as the executive director of the Youth Empowerment Project. And we started YEP, as we call it, back in 2004 to address a real unmet need in the community, which was providing reentry services and supportive services to young people returning to the New Orleans region from juvenile facilities. We had been working earlier on with the Juvenile Justice Project of Louisiana, doing some post-disposition representation of young people, assisting them to come back home, but we found that there was such a dearth of services that actually addressed their needs. They were coming back to communities and families oftentimes that didn't have the support structure to really help them make the choices they needed to be successful. Oftentimes they weren't coming with the education that they needed or with the sort of vocational background. So we started a very, very intensive, actually the first juvenile reentry program of its kind in the state of Louisiana back in 2004. Mm-hmm.
And don't y'all also work with kids who might not be going through the system? Y'all you know, offer services for kids who are at risk.
Absolutely, and we've expanded our mission significantly. We were a pre-Katrina organization. We made it through the storm, continued to help young people and their families as we were all displaced to try to connect with different
when we didn't even have a legal system.
Well, and we were trying to be one and to advocate for our kids and families during that time. And then upon us all sort of coming back to the city, we recognized that there was a need for prevention services. We actually started working with younger siblings of some of our young people on probation and parole, and we also recognized there was a real need for GED and literacy services for young people who are out of school. So we now provide four programs, and only one of those is just geared towards people involved in the system. The others address the needs of folks all throughout the system.
Extremely important things I want to point out to you is that we have, as you mentioned, a community-based mentoring program, and that program actually, as Melissa said, started with us providing the services, the level of case management services that we provide to those court-involved individuals. And just so we get a visualization of that, I tell people the level of services that we provide are so intense that if you put your arms around an individual, that's the level of services that we provide for those individuals. So when we were engaging the kids in positive pro-social activities, whether it's movies, skating, outing, swimming, tubing, things that they would not normally have an access to, we were finding that younger siblings were also on that threshold of teeter-tottering with delinquent behaviors or possibly thinking about things. So we started engaging them and having them to be a part of our
So you're proactive. You're not just reactive when people get in trouble. You're also trying to fill the gap, the problems that come up because the community's not structured maybe the way it needs to be to give people constructive things to do if they happen to be young.
Exactly right. And so we started the community-based program based upon that philosophy that we need to reach those kids between the ages of 8 to 14 before they get involved in the juvenile justice system. And it's been very a good feeling to work with a bunch of kids who are hungry, who need a positive mentor, a real role model, not just a role model, but someone who's real, who actually can engage them in some positive things. The level of services that we provide, just to give you a snapshot, I mean, we're involved in the school system. We're in the schools helping with whether it's IEP, counseling sessions. We do provide mental health support, substance abuse, educational support. The gamut, it runs. So anything that individual needs, as well as working not just with the individual, but with the family. Because oftentimes we know that sometimes the families are struggling, especially in the post-Katrina era. So those are the challenges that we face when we go into the home to really get a full-blown picture of what the needs are and begin to address them.
Well, that's really awesome. I had the great pleasure a few months ago to go to a symposium about juvenile justice at LSU, and some of the things that people that study what happens with young people that get caught up in the court system. People that have studied it, some of the things I heard were really, really shocking because it seems like in the era we've been living in, say for maybe the last 20 years or so, the trend has been everyone is afraid that, a juvenile person's going to go out and commit a really horrible crime, and it's like that they are, and they kind of know they're not going to really get punished, and so they go out and commit lots of crimes because they think they're juveniles, they can get away with it. And so they have this thing now of wanting to transfer them and treat them as adults. And at this symposium, besides, a lot of really incredibly tragic individual stories about young people that maybe had made one mistake and they're doing life in jail, there's people taking a really close look at that. And the thing your organization is making me recall from that is one of the speakers was saying, well, when we look at a community and we see like recidivism, this idea of juveniles coming back, they commit one crime, they commit another crime, they commit another crime, and you can say, it's the environment, it's the school, they got mental illnesses. But what they found in this study was that we know, with kids at least, maybe not so much with grown-ups, but with kids, we kind of know what works. We kind of know the things we can do for them that will cause them not to be recidivists and to get on the right track because they're more formable, okay? So they found ultimately the main cause that juveniles are recidivists, habitual criminals, that's kind of a big word, repeat offenders, is because the jurisdictions that maybe we know what the tools are, but we're not using the known things that work. If you don't use them, guess what? They don't work, and the kids go out and they commit crimes again. In other places, the main cause of recidivism ultimately is they got places that do have good programs, they do work, and big surprise, the kids aren't repeating in and out of the system. Oh my gosh. So in this time of incredibly tough budget cuts in some areas and less and less money for government, you guys are coming in and you're trying to provide that then. I think that's great because I think that's the only thing we can really do to hold our community together other than sometimes I think they're trying to put everybody in prison. Yeah.
And you said a mouthful because the point that I wanted to bring out was that I think the model that we use with our program, when we match youth advocates, which are our individuals who are mentors, with youth. All of our youth advocates are highly skilled, highly trained, paid staff who, in fact, have come from communities, understand the struggles that our youth are going through. And when we pair them with those kids and they begin to go into those communities and are able to work through a lot of the issues with them, it really makes a difference. And so we're glad to talk about a success rate, 89% success rate with kids that we work with who are in our reintegration, those kids who are reintegrating back into the community. we've had over 100% success with the community-based program because there's just so many kids that are hungry for the attention and affection of an advocate, someone who's positive. And what we found is that through this program and our programs, that the group philosophy seems to work better. And a lot of mentoring programs are struggling with the one-on-one match. What we're doing is we're doing a case management approach where we're linking our youth advocates with a caseload that's manageable between 8 to 10. And so with that, they can really spend the time, the quality time, in and out of the facility, in and out of the schools, in the home, really providing that intense case management support.